Welcome, friend. Before we begin, let's take a moment to slow down. Wherever you are, sitting in stillness, walking somewhere quiet, or simply pausing in the middle of a busy day, let this next half hour become a space where your mind can rest and your heart can lean forward with expectation. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that stirs a lot of curiosity, a fair amount of confusion, and for many people, quiet fear, the rapture. It's a word that has been surrounded by dramatic headlines, apocalyptic movies, and heated debates. But underneath all the noise, there is something far simpler and far more beautiful waiting to be understood. This teaching was never meant to frighten you. It was meant to fill you with hope. Think about that phrase for a moment. Blessed hope. Not anxious hope, not fearful hope. Blessed hope. The kind of hope that doesn't make you want to hide from the world, but instead gives you a reason to live with purpose, with joy, and with expectation, right in the middle of an uncertain world. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to walk through 5 key ideas. We'll start by reclaiming what this hope was truly meant to produce in us. We'll draw a clear line between two events that are often confused with one another. We'll look at a passage frequently misapplied to this topic and understand who it was actually written for. We'll marvel at the promise of transformation, a change so complete it happens in the blink of an eye. And we'll close with something deeply practical, how to live each day with quiet expectation instead of fear. This isn't a lecture meant to alarm you. It's an invitation to trade anxiety for anticipation. So take a breath and let's begin. Know Part 1, a hope that produces purity, not panic. Let's start by clearing away a common misunderstanding. When people hear teaching about a sudden, dramatic return, the instinct for many is fear. Fear of being left behind, fear of missing some invisible deadline, fear that faith itself might not be enough. But that fear-based posture misses the entire point of why this hope was given in the first place. The purpose of this teaching was never to make believers anxious or paralyzed. It was never designed to produce a community of people nervously checking headlines, wondering if today is the day, living with a knot of dread in their stomachs. If that's the emotional fruit this teaching produces in you, something has gone sideways in how it's being understood. Instead, this hope is meant to do something almost the opposite of fear. It's meant to purify. Think about what it means to genuinely anticipate someone's arrival. If you knew someone you deeply respected was coming to visit your home, you wouldn't respond with paralysis or dread. You'd tidy up, you'd prepare, you'd want your space and yourself to reflect readiness and care. That's the picture behind this teaching. Not dread of judgment, but the natural motivation that comes from anticipating someone you love. This is why genuine expectation of this event has historically produced the opposite of laziness. Communities and individuals who take this hope seriously tend to become more diligent, not less. More committed to living with integrity, more focused on what actually matters, more urgent about doing good while there's still time. The logic is simple. If you believe something wonderful and imminent is approaching, you don't waste the time you have left. You use it well. Contrast this with the alternative posture, treating the topic as either irrelevant or terrifying. Some people ignore it altogether, assuming it's too complicated or controversial to think about, and in doing so, drift into spiritual complacency, unmotivated by any sense of urgency or purpose. Others swing to the opposite extreme, becoming so consumed by fear and speculation that their faith turns into anxiety rather than confidence. Neither extreme reflects what this hope was designed to produce. The healthier posture sits in the middle. a settled, joyful expectation, not obsessing over dates or signs, not living in dread, but carrying a quiet, steady awareness that something good is approaching, and allowing that awareness to shape how you live today. It's the difference between someone terrified of an exam they haven't studied for and someone joyfully anticipating a reunion with someone they love. Same event on the calendar, completely different emotional experience, because the posture of the heart makes all the difference. So as we move forward into the more detailed parts of this teaching, I want to invite you to release any fear you might be carrying into this topic. What we're about to explore isn't meant to unsettle you. It's meant to anchor you, to give you a sense of forward motion, purpose, and hope that steadies you no matter what's happening in the world around you. Part 2. Two events, not one. Understanding the difference. Now let's untangle something that causes a great deal of confusion. The difference between two distinct events that are often blended together in people's minds as though they're the same thing. It's easy to see why the confusion happens. Both events involve a dramatic, visible return. Both are connected to the culmination of history as we know it. Both stir strong emotions and expectations, but treating them as identical misses important distinctions that actually matter for how the broader story unfolds. The first event is a quiet, sudden gathering. Believers being caught up to meet their Lord, not on the earth, but in the air. This isn't a public spectacle unfolding across news channels and city squares. It happens instantaneously, unexpectedly, and specifically for those who are already part of the family of faith. The language used to describe it emphasizes surprise, like a thief arriving unannounced, a moment nobody can pinpoint on a calendar in advance. The second event is different in nature entirely. It's not a quiet gathering, but a visible, dramatic, public return, one that unfolds not before a difficult period of global upheaval, but after it, alongside those who were previously gathered. This return isn't hidden or private. It's described as visible to all, accompanied by dramatic signs, marking the definitive end of a specific and intense season of hardship on earth. Why does the order matter so much? Because it changes the entire framework for understanding what happens next. In this view, believers aren't necessarily expected to endure the most severe, climactic period of global distress before their gathering happens. Instead, that gathering happens first, functioning almost like a rescue that precedes the most difficult chapter still to come. Then, after that period concludes, a second, very different kind of arrival takes place. One focused specifically on a particular nation and people with deep historical and prophetic significance, marking the final resolution of a much longer story. Understanding this distinction changes how a person reads and interprets many other passages. Some descriptions in ancient texts are describing the quiet gathering. Others are describing the dramatic, visible return that follows the hardship. Confusing the two leads to misapplied fear, incorrect expectations, and a muddled understanding of what's actually being promised and to whom. This is one of those topics where careful reading matters enormously. It would be easy to take language describing one event and mistakenly apply it to the other, arriving at conclusions that were never intended by the original context. This is precisely why the next section is so important, because one of the most commonly misapplied passages on this entire subject was never written with this first, quiet gathering in mind at all. But Part 3. A passage often misunderstood. Let's talk now about a passage frequently cited in discussions on this topic. One filled with vivid, dramatic imagery, darkened skies, falling stars, a trumpet call, people being taken while others are left behind. It's easy to see why this passage gets pulled into conversations about the sudden gathering of believers. On the surface, the imagery seems to fit, but careful examination of the context tells a different story. This particular passage wasn't primarily addressed to the broader community of believers scattered across nations and generations. It was addressed to a specific audience within a specific historical and cultural context, largely concerned with a Jewish audience and the events they would face during an intense, climactic period of tribulation. This distinction matters because it changes how certain phrases should be understood. References to specific religious practices, particular geographic locations, and urgent warnings about fleeing on a specific day of rest are details deeply tied to the customs and circumstances of that particular audience at that particular moment in history. They're not vague, universal statements meant to apply generically to every believer throughout history. And they're specific instructions for a specific group facing a specific set of extreme circumstances. Why does this matter for how we understand the bigger picture? Because when this passage gets applied broadly, without recognizing its original context, it creates fear and confusion that was never intended. People start searching for signs that were meant for an entirely different audience and time frame, assuming those signs apply directly and personally to their own immediate circumstances. This kind of misapplication is a common source of the anxiety so many carry around this topic. Careful reading, on the other hand, brings clarity rather than fear. Recognizing who a passage was originally written for and under what circumstances helps prevent the kind of generalized dread that comes from misapplying specific warnings to the wrong audience. It also protects against the temptation to obsess over calculating dates or matching current events to ancient prophecy in ways that were never intended. This doesn't diminish the value or importance of the passage. It simply means reading it with the right lens, understanding its original audience and purpose, rather than importing it wholesale into a completely different context. When approached this way, what once seemed like a source of fear becomes instead a fascinating piece of a much larger, carefully unfolding story, one where every detail has its proper place and purpose. Part 4. Transformed in the blink of an eye. Now let's turn to one of the most breathtaking promises connected to this entire subject, the promise of transformation, so complete and so instantaneous that it happens faster than the human eye can even process. Picture the moment being described, no gradual process, no slow improvement over months or years, but an immediate, total change occurring, according to the description, in a moment, in the blink of an eye. This isn't a metaphor for gradual spiritual growth. It's describing a literal, physical transformation of the body itself. What does this transformation actually involve? It means the end of every limitation the body currently carries. Sickness, disease, chronic pain, the slow wear of aging, all of it gone, replaced instantly with a body no longer bound by decay. This isn't a minor upgrade. It's a complete replacement of mortality with something entirely different, something imperishable, something no longer subject to the fragility that defines physical existence as we currently know it. Think about what this promise means for someone currently walking through physical suffering. For anyone battling illness, carrying chronic pain, watching their body slowly weaken with age, this promise isn't abstract theology. It's deeply personal hope. It says, this is not the final state of your body. What you're experiencing right now, however difficult, however long it has lasted, is not permanent. A moment is coming where all of it changes instantly and completely. This promise also reframes how we think about death itself. Rather than being described as an ending, This transformation is framed as a victory over what was once considered the ultimate defeat. Instead of fear surrounding this final transition, the promise offers something closer to triumph. The idea that what once seemed like an unstoppable force has, in this specific context, lost its power entirely. There's something worth noticing about the specific phrase used to describe the timing of this transformation: the blink of an eye. It's such a small, ordinary human action, yet it's used to describe something almost incomprehensibly vast. No lingering pain, no drawn-out struggle, no gradual fading, just an instant, complete shift from one state of existence into another. This promise, more than almost any other part of this teaching, is what shifts the entire subject from something abstract and theoretical into something deeply personal and hope-filled. It's not simply information about future events. It's a promise about your own body, your own suffering, your own mortality. A promise that none of it is the final word. Part 5. Living awake, not afraid. We've covered a lot of ground. The true purpose of this hope, the distinction between two very different events, the importance of understanding a passage in its proper context, and the breathtaking promise of instant transformation. Now, in this final section, let's talk about what all of this means for how you actually live your life starting today. The consistent instruction connected to this entire subject isn't to live in fear, and it isn't to live in complacency either. It's to live awake, alert, aware, and engaged with what matters, without becoming anxious about timing or consumed by speculation. What does living awake actually look like in practical terms? It means refusing to let discouraging headlines and global uncertainty dictate your emotional state. The world will always have difficult news. There will always be reasons to feel afraid if you allow current events to become the primary lens through which you view your future. But living awake means lifting your eyes above the noise of daily anxiety and holding on to a steadier, longer-term hope, one anchored in something more permanent than the latest crisis. It also means staying diligent rather than drifting into laziness or apathy. If you genuinely believe something significant is approaching, that belief should show up in how you spend your time, energy, and attention. It shouldn't produce paralysis or panic, but purposeful engagement, continuing to work hard, to love people well, to build things that matter, precisely because you understand your time is meaningful and finite. There's an important balance to hold here, though. Living with expectation doesn't mean becoming detached from ordinary life, treating everyday responsibilities as pointless because something bigger is coming. That kind of thinking has led people, throughout history, to abandon their responsibilities, their relationships, and their commitments, while waiting anxiously for a dramatic event. That's not the posture being encouraged here. Instead, the picture is someone fully engaged in their present life, working diligently, loving faithfully, building carefully, while simultaneously carrying a quiet, steady awareness that none of it is the final chapter. This is the balance worth carrying forward. Engaged, but not entangled. Present, but not anxious. Diligent, but not desperate. It's possible to hold a job well, care for a family faithfully, pursue meaningful goals wholeheartedly, and still carry, underneath all of it, a quiet sense of expectation that doesn't need constant validation or evidence to remain steady. This is what it means to live awake rather than afraid, not obsessing over signs, not calculating dates, not letting fear dictate daily decisions, but instead living each ordinary day with a sense of quiet readiness, trusting that whatever is approaching is good, and shaping your life accordingly. The closing? As we bring this time together to a close, I want to leave you with something simple to carry forward. If you came into this conversation carrying fear or confusion about this topic, I hope something has shifted. This was never meant to be a source of anxiety. It was meant to be exactly what it's called, a blessed hope. Not a countdown clock ticking toward dread, but a steady, quiet anticipation that shapes how you live, love, and work, right here in the ordinary rhythm of your everyday life. You don't need to have every detail figured out. You don't need to know exact timing or match every headline to ancient prophecy or live with a constant undercurrent of fear about what's coming next. What you need is what we've talked about today, a settled confidence that something good is approaching, a clear understanding of what's actually being promised, and a daily commitment to live awake, purposeful, and unafraid. So as you step away from this and back into your day, carry this with you. Your body's limitations are not permanent. Your hardships are not the final word. And the hope you carry was never meant to make you anxious. It was meant to make you ready, in the best and most peaceful sense of that word. Thank you for spending this time here. Go forward with steady hope, clear eyes, and a heart unafraid of what's still to come.